What's going on, guys? This is Jeremy here with the Fantasy Connection. This is going to be my first episode. I have been an avid fantasy football player for years and typically do pretty well, so I figured some of my advice, some of my rankings might help some people out. I am going to be keeping this team because it's the first show, so we're going to keep it. It's not just going to be a mock draft. This also kind of helps. Sometimes when you mock, people just are not realistic with their picks. I didn't pay for this league, but soon if I keep doing this, we might start joining some money leagues here to not only see how we do, but they give you a better idea. We are drafting from the 3 slot. It's a PPR 10 team. Honestly, I don't care where I draft from typically. You got to stay on your toes during drafts and just kind of go with the flow. Christian McCaffrey goes first. I will be skipping kind of in between my picks, obviously, because I have a long way. I'll skip forward in the video and kind of recap. I'll scroll through the right to show you who was picked, and I'll name some guys that I like that went. Obviously, in the first few rounds, it's hard to name guys, that you don't like because, let's face it, most of these guys are studs. We are on the clock here. Not to be lame, but I'm kind of going with ADP early on. Zeke is actually my second running back that I would take. I think that offense is going to be great this year. Last year he was very consistent, and supposedly he already had coronavirus, so that might help. So we took Zeke. This year more than ever, I find running backs drop off quickly. Michael Thomas goes at 4. This is a PPR league, so that's not a bad idea, but all right, we'll skip forward. All right, guys, we are back. We are not on the clock yet, but we will be soon. I'll scroll through over here since our pick of Ezekiel Elliott. It pretty much followed ADP for a while. And then some receivers go. Obviously, I really like Miles Sanders and Kenyon Drake. I'm sad they're not here. One of those two would have been my pick easily. Obviously, watching the board, we're next up. So, looking at running backs, looking at receivers here. Honestly, there's Eckler and Mixon, pretty good. I like Jacobs too. I can't tell if I like Mixon or Jacobs more. That's kind of a coin toss here. I'm going to take one of them because there's several wide receivers I like here. I like DJ Moore. I like Mike Evans. I like Godwin. Godwin probably won't make it back. I like Kelsey too, but taking a tight end just puts you, I don't know, I can put you so far behind the ball on running back and wide receiver, which this year I feel like the need is to stock up. My strategy this year seems to be lots of running backs, lots of wide receivers, and figure out tight end and quarterback at the end. That's me most years, but sometimes I've hopped in tight end, and to be honest, those years I didn't finish well. I took Gronk, I think, in 2018 in the second round and in a few of my leagues, and was definitely disappointed about it. Okay, so Lamar Jackson, second round. More power to you, but I took Lamar last year in the 10th, and I was very happy with that, and I will try to find this year's late round steal. This is tough. We got 2 new quarterbacks. We got Josh Jacobs for a team that I'm going to go Jacobs. There was something the other day that said about him hoping to catch 60 balls this year. If he can make that leap, he will be very valuable. And I like that he's a little bit younger. Not that Zeke is old, but Jacob's still fresh to the league. He looked good last year. Let's check out his stats now that we picked him. You might want to do this before you make a pick normally. But, yeah, I mean, the guy had over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, only 20 receptions. A PPR that can be annoying, but I like him. What did Mixon have? A little more receptions from Mixon. Maybe if he's still there. We're up next. After us went Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, and then Godwin. Yeah, I love DJ Moore here, but to have Mixon, Elliott, and Jacobs, I think that's a great start for my running back core, and then I can kind of skip these guys down here and just load up on wide receiver, which I really love this year is like the third, fourth round wide receivers. I think there's value there. Yeah, DJ Moore is great, and Mike Evans is great, who actually just went, and now we're back on the clock. Really like DJ Moore here, but this is another thing you can do. Go to your guys. I always recommend writing tier lists, writing a full projections for a season. I mean, that's kind of a hardcore fantasy guy, but tiers are really what matters in the draft. Like, who's left at his tier? I see Eckler and Mixon in a similar tier, but I like Mixon more with Burrow coming in. Eckler, that whole team's going to be switched, and we will see. DJ Moore is at the top of this tier for me for sure, but then there's a lot of guys I really like. So, that's it. We're starting with 3 running backs. Joe Mixon, welcome to the team. We got different bye weeks, which helps. I never really look at that. I just kind of look at, like, what, my gut feeling towards a player and the value there. I'm happy with 3 running backs this year, especially because the wide receiver, there's a lot of value to be had at wide receiver this year, and it's deeper. And now that I have 3, I can kind of just focus on that, unless the guy I really like falls to me again. And then, we'll see. We'll see how things play out. Always don't try to over-organize your next pick, because especially like when you're at the 3 spot, I have so long to go. So many of these guys are going to be gone, and there's no telling who will be left. All right, we're going to pause. All right, folks, welcome back. Since our pick of Joe Mixon, these are who went here on the right side. Obviously, I like Eckler. I talked about that. Amari Cooper went. He's great. Guy I would like to have. DJ Moore, as I was talking. Juju's real hit or miss this year. Could be amazing, could be not. And more of the running backs that are kind of in that next tier. Out of that tier of running backs of who's left, I love Chris Carson. He just seems to have it, man. Every time that guy plays, he's great, and Seattle loves him. So that's all you can ask for. Now, let's see who I'm looking at. Obviously, Calvin Ridley goes. I got a few guys queued up because, you just never want to be completely blind going into your pick here. I know I said more wide receivers, obviously, because I already got 3 running backs, but I do like David Johnson this year. Like, they're going to be forced to use him in Houston after that trade. I mean, their hand is forced in playing that dude. And then wide receiver, I got a lot of guys in a similar tier here, like Robert Woods, Odell, AJ. Those guys all scream similar to me. So I might even go 4 running backs, but that really puts me in the hole at wide receiver here. If I could get 2 of these guys, that would be cool too. So maybe I push David Johnson down. As much as I want to take him, there's running backs later to be had. Let's go ahead and look through here. Other guys I like. Jonathan Taylor is a guy I'd like to take a little later, obviously. Montgomery, they have a really good early season schedule, so I think he'll have a decent start. I like Mostert. I like Ingram. The rest of these guys, I'm trying to stay away from, and after that, it is kind of just a deep, dark hole until late picks. So, and then here, we're on the board. Took Keenan Allen there. I like a lot of these receivers, honestly, until it gets to a certain point down here where it's like probably after Brandon Cooks, I just don't like it. So we're on the clock. David Johnson's still there. God, I love being strong at running back, but I don't want to totally give up the wide receiver position here. I'm gonna go with Robert Woods here. He's always had a lot of catches, 90 receptions. Only 2 touchdowns last year. Like, that's gotta change. I'm gonna take Woods, and we'll see who comes back to us out of this group of people that I liked. Ertz goes next. I'm fine with that. Keep picking tight ends and let the running backs and wide receivers fall to me. I will gladly take the depth at those positions. Jonathan Taylor. Wow. Jonathan Taylor goes that early. I guess we don't have the chance to take him. I think 5th round. It's a little early. This is a 10-team league, by the way. It's a little early. I get it, though. These other running backs are kind of just iffy. Tyler Lockett goes next. Odell, I don't know. It's like he could be the steal of the draft this year if he turns back into the Odell we all once knew. But he goes next, actually. So we are back on the clock. David Johnson still sitting there. I got my boy Robert Woods. I love A.J. Brown, but only 52 receptions. I mean, he's great, but I think I got to take him just because I just love the upside of A.J. Brown. He looked last year just like a man amongst boys, shoving people to the ground, yards after catch. The guy was a stud every time he caught the ball. So far, we at running back, Elliott and Jacobs, Robert Woods, A.J. Brown at wide receiver, and at flex, we got Joe Mixon. I think this is a pretty good start. I mean, I could have took David Johnson there, but he would have just been depth, really. I mean, I don't see playing him that much over any of my other running backs. Maybe Mixon if they have a tough start to the season and David Johnson just turns into something that, the old David Johnson, but we don't really know, and I'd rather have I don't want to wait till the next pick and have there be no wide receivers for my second wide receiver. You do have to start 2 wide receivers, so I have to keep that in mind. Who knows? Maybe David Johnson will be there. I highly, highly doubt it, but you never know. All right, we are back, and we can look over here at the picks after me. David Johnson goes the next pick. Obviously, we teetered and tottered on that decision. Then DK Metcalf, I do really like him. DK and DJ Chark are kind of 2 guys I'm scouting for later on. Other guys, Terry McLaurin's great. A little nervous about the quarterback situation there in Washington, whatever their name turns out to be. 1 pick left till us. Honestly, just looking here, I'm hoping Chark falls. I like him. He'd be good depth. If A.J. Brown can't put it together, he's solid. And then my second pick, it might be smart to go another wide receiver here, maybe A.J. Green or Parker. Parker had a crazy year last year. He finally showed up after years. Okay, so Jared Cook went at this early, which is crazy to me. Chark is young. Parker's got the new quarterback. I'm going to go with Chark. I was just talking about him. We'll see who comes back to us. But first bench guy, not bad at all. DJ Chark, I'm cool with it. Next, I'm thinking either a running back like David Montgomery, Raheem Mostert, Mark Ingram. Because after that, let's be real, there ain't much. It gets real ugly here. After Chark goes Swift, then Deshaun Watson. But yeah, after these couple guys, someone drafted a defense early. Don't ever do that. I don't care how good they are. You do not take a defense until the last few rounds. But yes, this group I like Mostert and I like Montgomery and Ingram, and then it is dark, man. Like there's nothing left there. That is scary. As far as wide receiver goes, AJ Green's like a hit or miss, man. The guy could come back and be great, but I already am starting Mixon, so that might not be smart. That's another thing you gotta do. Don't just have your guys in tiers and everything. Then once you're in the middle of the draft, start looking. You don't really want to start a running back and wide receiver from the same team typically. Quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end. That's decent. Parker goes. But I like a lot of these receivers still. I mean, not a ton. It does get a little shady later on. But I got 3 and 3. And to me, running back is always the most important position in fantasy football because they go down quick. And I have had seasons ruined because I took Peyton Hillis and thought he was going to be great. And then he was horrible. And then you can't find anyone on the waiver wire. And it was just rough. I know Montgomery's going to get a lot of carries, but I also like Mostert a lot. Ooh, this is tough. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go for the upside here. How often are we going to start David Montgomery over any of the running backs we have? Probably never. He could be decent, but Mostert just looked electrifying last year, so we're going to take him. He's going to be our 4th running back. We have 4 running backs. We have 3 wide receivers. I like the team over here on the left so far. I'm glad I'll be keeping it. Definitely a team, a squad that you can work with. You're not going to win your league at the draft, okay? It takes time during the season. You got to find the standout waiver wire players. You got to make the trades. You got to figure out who's going to, slow down and trade them away. Last year, I remember after Cooper Kupp went crazy, I got offered like Julio and I didn't take it. I still won that league because I had Lamar Jackson. I had a few other guys that I took late that carried my team all the way to the championship. But if I could have traded Cooper Kupp for Julio mid-season, I mean, that would have been money. I would have not only won, but just made people look foolish. So those are things you got to think of. All right, we are back here. We are only 2 picks away from our next pick. After Mostert here on the right, you can see who went. 2 picks later, Montgomery. Obviously, I talked about him a little bit. I do like the upside there. I do like the Bears' early schedule, which is nice. Then there's a little quarterback run here. Kyler Murray, Dak. Love those guys. I don't know if I'll get them in any leagues just because I'd rather take all the depth. Mark Ingram goes the pick before the guy who's up currently. Guy I was looking at hoping to fall. I definitely would have taken him. Now let's just look over what we got here. I already have Elliott. I like Gallup. I think Gallup has the talent, and even though they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I still like Gallup. There's a guy here, though, I really like, and that's Marquise Brown. Hollywood's either going to put it together this year and be amazing, or he's not, and I'm fine having that as depth because if he can break through and be something special, I'm totally cool with that. If he makes it 2 more picks, that will be our pick. I am sure about it. Oh, and as I'm talking about that, he goes. Okay, this is why you got to just keep throwing darts. Looking at all these guys. Okay, so no one I really love right here, to be honest. I wouldn't take Kerryon this year. He's always hurt. Marvin Jones is one of those throw in your lineup type players that will get you a decent amount of points, but he's not going to carry you. He's not going to be anything special. ADP, there's a bunch of tight ends that go, but I'm not loving them. I honestly like a later tight end this year. If you're not going Kittle and you're not going Kelsey, you might as well just wait. A bunch of guys down here at like 100 that I don't mind, but let's break it apart a little little bit here and kind of look it over. Yeah, not really feeling any of these running backs. Jordan Howard's okay. Maybe I take him. It's a starting running back, and it's the 8th round. We're on the clock. The Steelers D goes. Again, don't do that. That is such a waste of an early pick. Like, would you rather have the Steelers D or Michael Gallup or a starting running back in Jordan Howard? Yeah, is he great? No, but it's a starting running back. The defense is going to switch. Yeah, the Steelers were great last year, and they have a great D, but we really don't know. Will Fuller. I think I'm going to go Will Fuller here, just because the Texans got to throw it to someone. Then it could be him. It could be him or it's Cooks, one of the two. So, kind of hoping Jordan Howard falls. We will queue him up. Obviously, there's other guys above him in the ADP. I will say I would have taken Gallup there if I didn't have Elliott. Again, you got to look over your team. I don't know if I'd ever start Gallup and Elliott unless they were versing like the worst defense on the planet, or if they both had just been on fire recently, but that seems very rare, and you are kind of limiting the upside. You want to play your team so that, you know, in a magical world, all your guys score, and if they're all on the same team, it's just not going to happen. It's just not possible. Might look at QB here a little bit. Who's left? I mean, I like Ryan. Brady could be great. We really don't know, but, I mean, it's hard to argue that receiving core is amazing. My late-round guy this year so far has been Breeze, honestly. They're Breeze or Roethlisberger if it's really late. If everyone else gets taken, I have no problem going Big Ben. They versus the Giants like Monday night, I think, when they come back. I can totally see him lighting it up, coming back, making the team look great again, even though they were so lost on offense last year. That team was pitiful to watch on offense last year after he went down. And I think he comes back and does pretty good things. After Fuller goes Gallup, we're obviously waiting between picks here. If Howard's there, he will be we got 3 in the lineup. He'll be our 5th running back. He's, you know, it's depth. It's something you need at the running back position. I could go Dobbins too, but I just don't think that. I have this weird feeling that Baltimore is going to stick with Ingram and mix in the Gus Bus, and I don't know if Dobbins can break into that. Like, those are 2 pretty good guys at running back, and there's no offseason this year. There's no time to get acclimated with the offense, really. They're running practices, but no preseason. I like to see guys, especially rookies. You know, in the past, I took Alvin Kamara really late because I just saw how great he looked in the preseason. Last year I took Andrews really late, Mark Andrews, the tight end, because, again, he looked great in the preseason. He looked like a freak, and he is. Those are things you can try to do. This year there's no preseason, so it's going to be extra hard. All right. Well, I've been talking about Howard. I'm taking him over the rookies. Right now he's their starter, and there's nothing they're going to do in between, you know, August 13th or 14th and the start of the season here in a few weeks. All right, we will be back here when we get to pick again. All right, we are almost back on the clock. To the right, we got who went. A kicker, that's kind of sad. Don't do that either. Kicker and defense, last 2 picks, always. Always. You can stream those. It's easy to do. Now, who are we looking at here? I like Dante Johnson. I don't love him, but it's just one of those could be. Noah Fant, Breida go. Could take Ruggs. We're starting to get into the the weeds here a little bit. Kind of looking over guys. Just switch it to flex because we know we're not. We know we're not taking a QB or tight end right now. This is tough. I'm going to take Deontay Johnson. Not exactly sure how you say it, but I'm going to take him. Bench guy. It is round 10. Look at running backs left here. There's not anyone except for this one guy I like, which a lot of people are going to start liking more, which is going to drive his ADP up because they released Geis, and that's Antonio Gibson. Just going to put him in the queue, and that's going to be our next pick probably. It's a little early in round. It'll be 11 by the time our next pick, but I want him. I want him on my team, and it's going to be a long time in between picks. When you're early or you're late, you got to just take the guys you like. You know, some of these wide receivers could be great, but I got a pretty good bench of wide receivers currently, so we're going to take him, and we'll be back. All right, guys, we are back, and over to the right, we can look at who went after our pick of Antonio Gibson. Some quarterbacks. Brandon Cooks went, who I do like because he could be the number one guy there. Ruggs, Preston Williams. Ruggs, you never know. That speed, he could be Tyreek. I'm thinking Drew Brees here. It's round 12. We got one bench pick left. Usually that's aim for the moon, figure it out. Probably be your first drop week 1 when waivers come out and you know what's up. Tight end, I'm fine waiting. I like Gesicki late. I like Herndon late. Jonnu Smith's good too. Hayden Hurst, also good. So those guys might be our pick at the 123rd spot. But I'm going Breeze here if he makes it. He does. We are on the clock. QB, Drew Brees, Hall of Famer, last season. Amazing offense. I'm taking him, not thinking about it. To get him in the 12th round, I think, is a steal. And we will wait, and hopefully after Breeze goes Duke Johnson, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford. That's fine with me. I can punt tight end so long because these guys are still here. I like Hayden Hurst. Do I have any Falcons? I don't have a Falcon, so I might take Hayden Hurst. The other guy I'm thinking of here is N'Keal Harry because who else are they going to throw to there in New England? And Cam's made big guys look good. N'Keal Harry's a big man. And I can see him making him look good. And he's 4th. It's tough. Just waiting for the pick. I know N'Keal Harry won't make it back, but I can see Gesicki, Herndon, or Hayden Hurst making it back. So I think I'm going to take Harry. He'll be our last bench pick. And I think then we have a really good core, guys, for depth and everything. And I got my QB. Can figure out the tight end. Tight end's always streamable, or you'll find a guy in the waivers. Unless you're going for a top guy. I'm going to take Harry, though. And we will wait and see. All right, guys, we are almost back on the clock. I'm going to make my pick at tight end and then probably end this thing. If you hung around this long, I really appreciate it. This is the first episode. I will update you guys on this team later on throughout the year and see how we do. I am going to try to make videos after draft season's done to maybe answer questions. Leave my email at the bottom, and you guys can email me if you have any trade questions, draft questions, whatever. I'd be happy to answer just my gut opinion on them. Sitting here, I'm waiting for Hayden Hurst, hoping he doesn't go. If not, Gesicki. We got 2 picks between us. On the right here, we can look at who went after Harry. Judy, I do like throwing a dart at sometimes. Justin Jefferson, same thing. Minnesota has a lot of targets that they're going to need. CeeDee Lamb goes. Anthony Miller goes. I do like Anthony Miller, too. He could be great this year. He's been pretty good so far, besides the injuries. And honestly, let's be honest, the quarterback play in Chicago is rough. All right. Hayden Hurst fell. They're next to each other here. Hayden Hurst and Gesicki. Who I like more, I just got to take the offense in Atlanta. Let's go through the lineup here. Breeze at quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott, Josh Jacobs starting running backs. Starting wide receiver, Robert Woods, A.J. Brown. Hayden Hurst at the tight end. Flex is Mixon, but it could change. Flexes are not locked in. You got to play the matchups and be smart. The bench, we have DJ Chark, Raheem Mostert, Will Fuller, Jordan Howard, Deontay Johnson, Antonio Gibson, and N'Keal Harry. I do like this team a lot. I think it's got potential. Again, thank you for tuning in. This is the Fantasy Connection is what we're going to call this thing. I'm Jeremy, your host, and I'll be posting more soon. Thank you.